and happy 2024. So I hope you're having a lovely 2024 so far. Today I wanted to share my 2024 reading goals. So last year my reading goal was to read 20 books, and last year I actually managed to read 39. So I was really proud of myself for managing to hit 20 books and then nearly double it. So this year I would like to read 40 books. I'm not that worried about whether or not I managed to read 40 books or not, but I thought it might be quite fun to just see if I do, see if I manage to read one more book this year than last year. So I also have sort of reading adjacent goals. So the first one is to do with this channel and is just to sort of keep it up and keep going. I mean, I'm really happy with the videos that I've been able to put out so far, and I think for this year I would like to just keep up with posting videos, and I also want to start watching more small booktubers and new booktubers, just because I think I watch a lot of the same booktubers. I think all the booktubers I watch are quite large and have quite a decent following, and I think I want to go more outside my comfort zone this year and actually start watching new booktubers. And I think it's the sort of the community side of it. I want to be able to sort of ask people questions and chat to people. I get to know people a bit better, which is quite a hard, like, I'm quite introverted and I find socialising in person bad enough. Socialising online, I don't understand how it seems to come very easily for a lot of people, and I just don't understand it. I never know what to comment. I never know what to reply to people's comments. I love having comments. I love seeing when people have commented on my videos, but I never know what to say back, and I get so stressed about it. And then when I watch videos, I want to comment and say something, but I never know what to say or how to phrase it. And I think because it's like social media, you're not like in the room, I find it really hard to know what to say. And I don't know if anyone else has this or if anyone else sort of feels the same, particularly any other booktubers, if you really struggle like connecting with other people online, or when people, you know, you see someone, you're like, oh, like I want to be friends, like aside from commenting on their video being like, oh, I loved your video, like I just know, I think it'll be, yeah, I don't understand. So I think I want to work on that, and I want to improve or practice. I want to practice commenting and being more involved in the BookTube community, because I do post videos, but I don't think like I'm not commenting, I don't really comment on other people's videos very often. So that is a goal, is to just comment on people's videos, which really doesn't sound that difficult. But for me, it's quite hard and I really struggle with it. So yeah, definitely just try and be more active in the community is a goal. So in more like reading goals, so I have 3 actual reading goals. So the first one is to read 40 books this year. The next one is to read more outside my comfort zone. So I think this year is just stepping out of my comfort zone, just generally. But I want to read more non-fiction. I sort of shudder as I say that, because for me, the whole point of reading is for the escapism and is to sort of go to a different world, to get away from this one. And so when you're reading non-fiction, it's very much feels like the opposite of what the book should be doing, because the book, you read non-fiction to educate yourself about this world. But I think I definitely do. Like, I see other booktubers talk about non-fiction books they're reading and they sound really interesting. So I think I do this year want to start reading more non-fiction. And to be fair, I think last year I read one book sort of was non-fiction, but it was like a collection of short stories and then like an explanation about that short story and about like the historical relevance of it. And it was great. So technically, if I read 2 non-fiction books this year, that would be an increase from last year. So my goal is to just read 2 non-fiction books this year. I also want to read more short stories. I did quite well last year. I probably read like 4 or 5 non-fiction books. Not non-fiction books, 4 or 5 short story anthologies. So yeah, I think try and read 5 short story anthologies this year would also be a good goal. And I also want to read more poetry. I don't really read poetry, and I really should. I really want to. I enjoy poetry. I just never think to pick it up. And I'll go more onto the books that I want to read this year a bit later in the video. And one of the books I really want to read this year is a poetry collection. So that's definitely on the list, and I definitely want to try and read it this year. And I also sort of tagged onto the non-fiction. I want to read more essay collections. I don't think I've ever read an essay collection, and I think maybe 2024 is the year to try and read some essays. I have nothing really to say about it because I've never tried, so I know nothing. So if anyone has any good recommendations for essay collections, let me know. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea. I'm gonna have to research this, or maybe watch some booktubers and their recommendations. But yeah, essay collections. I might give that a go, see what I think. Oh, and I also would like to read more classics. So again, when I talk about books, there's one classic I want to read this year. I don't know if I'll get to it this year, but I also at some point want to read Middlemarch by what's the author? Elliot. George Eliot. Middlemarch by George Eliot. I've had it on my shelf for a really long time because it sort of came to me, I don't know how, it just appeared on my shelf. So I think maybe it's calling to me and I should read it. So yeah, Middlemarch maybe is on the list. So my third reading goal is one that is quite important, and that is to not buy new books, or to try and not buy any new books until I've read the books that I have. Because it's a slight problem. I did say to myself not to buy any new physical books until I read all my physical books, or at least cleared out my physical books. I am going to do a book unhaul, clear out, shelf, reorganise video at some point soon, just because it's a problem. I am currently surrounded by piles of books. There are books on my shelf that have been there for a while and I don't really pick them up. I've got a couple of like big series that I haven't read them in years, and I think it's time to get rid of them, and then I can get some more money, because I think I might try and sell them because they're in like good condition, because I haven't read them that much, and I just need them out so I can put the books I actually love and actually want to read on my shelf. So I did have the physical book buying ban, but I have a Kindle, and so I was buying a lot of ebooks. So now I've got a whole list of ebooks on my Kindle that I bought because they were cheap, and I haven't read them. So my goal is to just try and read the books that are either on a pile in my room or on my Kindle before I buy any new books. And I did happen to buy a new book yesterday, but we're ignoring that from today. But I think I probably will buy a couple. Maybe if I limit myself to like 1 new book a month, or 12 new books in total this year, that might work. Because I very much, if I see a book and I want to read it, I just buy it, and I need to stop, basically. So yeah, that is just read what I have and stop buying new books until I've read a book, or I've finished a decent chunk, or I've got rid of books. I think if I can get space on my shelf that needs filling, which is very unlikely by the amount of books that need to go on my shelf, then I can buy a new book. And also I kind of want to buy physical books of books that I read on my Kindle and loved. I think I want to fill my shelves with the books I love, rather than having my shelves filled with books that I kind of liked and then just kept. I think get rid of everything that I don't read all the time and put on all the books that I love. That is my goal for this year. So, saying all that, I do also have some examples of books I really want to get to this year, and that are top of my 2024 TBR. I'm not going to go too in depth into each one. I'm just going to sort of go through them because there are quite a few. But I've organised the books I want to read this year into 3 categories. So the first category is books that I physically own and haven't read yet, but I want to read. And there are more on this, like, I have so many books that I own that I haven't read yet. But I think some of them, if I own it and I haven't read it, I might give myself this year, and this time next year, if I haven't read it, it's going. Because I have had books on my shelf that I've been gifted. It's when I've gifted books, or when someone has got it secondhand and has sort of given it to me, and then I haven't read it and it's just sat on my shelf and it's taking up space. And I'm like, if I'm not going to read that book, it needs to go to someone else, because people need to read books and someone will love it. And if that person isn't me, it needs to go and find the person who's going to really enjoy it. So yeah, I definitely need to start letting some of my books go. But yeah, so there is the list of books that are on my shelf, I haven't read yet, and I do actually want to get to, and they're like a priority. The second section of books are books that I would really like to read, and I have not got a physical copy or an ebook copy, and so I will have to buy. So I think if I manage to read, so I'm going to try and read the books I already have first before I buy these books, unless I can persuade someone to buy them for my birthday. But yeah, but there's the books that I don't own, or I get them from the library. So yeah, I'm gonna have to think about my second section, my second category, and how I actually get hold of them. But there's not too many. I've been really strict with myself, and I've not put too many on the books I don't own but want to read. I think there's like 3, because I need to not buy new books. And then my third category are sequels. And one of them I own. I think there's only 2 sequels I want to read this year. One I don't own, and one I do own. So, with all that said, here are the books that I want to read this year. So, I've got a massive pile. Talking of piles of books, here's one. Right. The first book, and I have some of these books I have mentioned before. The first book I want to read this year is Babel, or Babel, which was the top of my list last year, and it's continued to be top of the list for this year. But yes, I want to get to this. There's another book I'm currently reading. I'm going to try and finish that first. Or I just dive straight into this. I might dive straight into this. But yes, I want to read this. I want to get to it. If you want to hear, I think I've had this on either my autumn or winter recommendations. So on one of those videos, I spoke a bit more about this book. It's definitely on the list of books that I want to read this year. Another book that I have spoken about already on this channel, I think on my winter books, but maybe on my autumn books, I can't remember. So that was Rebecca. Again, I haven't got to it yet. This year, this is the year, and I want to get to Rebecca. That's it, really. I have spoken more about this book before. I've read the first chapter, so I have started it. So it's looking good. So the next book is actually a bit of a wild card, but it's S. So this is by J.J. Abrams and Dorst. So this book I got for my birthday last year and I hadn't read it yet. So I haven't read it yet, partly because of how beautiful it is. And I just can't. I don't want to open it. But it's so pretty. And it's got a sticker. And I don't want to break the sticker. But it's like a book within a book. So you have the ship. So the book inside here is the ship of Theseus, which is like a fake book. And it's a library. So it's a fake library book that 2 characters have written in and annotated. And so you follow their story through their annotations of this story, which is like the book. And it just sounds, it sounds so interesting. I really want to get to it. I don't want to break the sticker, which is really terrible. And I just, but yeah, I don't know. But I'm like, maybe I could take it off carefully, but I don't trust myself. And it's just so pretty. I don't know, I'm just really bad with stickers. I don't like breaking stickers. I don't like if I get a sheet of stickers, I hate using them. And this is just, yeah, my thing with stickers and pretty things. I just don't want to touch it. But I really do want to read it. So yeah, that's S. So the next book is The Ruin of All Witches by Malcolm Gaskill. I think I was given this my birthday. I think a lot of the books I was given for my birthday I just never ended up getting around to. But it's basically about witches. And I love witches. So I'm really excited to get into it. There's also another book in defense of witches by a different author who I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll put it in somewhere. But I also want to read that as well. I really want to get into even non-fiction. I want to read non-fiction books about witches. And I also want to do a video about reading like witchy books. So yeah, I want to read this. And I also want to read the Weaver and the Witch Queen, I think it's called. I can't remember the author, but I'll put it up somewhere. And I have this book. I have it on my Kindle. So I want to read, yeah, this book, that book, and another book. I think it's on a pile somewhere. What's it called? The Once and Future Witches. So yeah, I want to make a video about reading all these books about witches. So yeah, look forward to that one and you'll find out whether or not I actually get around to reading all of those books. Also, I love this shade of pink. I'm not really a bright pink girl, but it's such a good colour. So the next book is This Woven Kingdom by Tahereh Mafi, I think. So this was given to me by my mum. And so I'm really excited to pick this up. I think it's fantasy. I think it's YA fantasy, but I'm really excited. I do know that this has got good reviews, and it was on my reading list, I think last year. And now I have it, and so I want to read it. And the final book is Under the Earth, Over the Sky by Mccosh. So this book is about I think it's like a fairy king adopting a human child, and it's self-published. The cover is really pretty, and I just want to read about a fairy king and a human baby. And I just think it's going to be adorable. I'm really excited, and I'm looking forward to it. So so those are the books that are on my shelf that are top of the list. There are so many other books that I haven't read yet that are looking at me. But I think these ones are the priority. So my next section are the books that I don't own yet, but still want to read. And top of this list is Gideon the Ninth by, I think it's Tamsin Muir. This is about necromancers, and I believe it's set in space. And I've heard really good things about it. So that's probably all I know about it, and I just really want to read it. The only reason I haven't read it is because I'm trying to be good and I'm trying not to buy new books. But it is top of the list and I might just ask to be given it for my birthday. So the next book that I don't own yet but want to read is If We Were Villains by, by M.L. Rio. So this is to sort of to go into like the dark academia. And I do want to, I think I'm just listing all the videos I want to make this year, but I also want to make a video about dark academia. So I want to read Babel and then also read If We Were Villains. And I think there's another book as well. I think Ace of Spades I want to read and then sort of do them all as like dark academia reading vlog. But yeah, I don't own either Ace of Spades or If We Were Villains. So again, maybe on my I might just get books for my birthday. My birthday's in February, so it's like coming up and I'm like, maybe I just ask for lots of books. But yeah, I want to read, I think a couple of booktubers I watched have recommended If We Were Villains, and I think it's like Shakespeare inspired, and it's like tragedy and dark academia, and I'm just really excited and want to read it. And the next book that I don't own but want to read, so this is less like one specific book, but I really want to read poetry by Emily Dickinson. I started watching Dickinson on Apple TV. I haven't finished it because I only had like 3 months on the free trial, and then I did not continue after the free trial. So I've only seen like the first season and maybe half of the second season. But I really loved it and I really want to read her poetry because it has parts of her poetry in the series, and it just, I don't know, it just, her voice sounds amazing. Like her writing style just sounds really interesting. I actually want to read it so much. So again, I might put that on my birthday list and just ask for like either a selected collection, like selected poems, or a complete collection. But I want one with a pretty cover because I think the thing about classics is you can get them in pretty covers. So I might see if there's a pretty like cloth bound edition of Emily Dickinson's poetry, and then it will look good on my shelf, and then I can like clear space for a pretty book. And then so that was that section, and the final section is sequels that I want to read. So I'm like, technically, so yes, it's buying new books, but it's the same story, so it's fine. And I have like not completed a lot of series that I started last year, just because I was like, I don't really want to buy more books. But there is one exception to this, and this is Emily Wilde's Map to the Otherlands by Heather Fawcett. So this is the sequel to Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and I love that book and I want to read the sequel. And again, this is going to go on my birthday list just because, see, I don't want to buy it myself, but if someone else buys it for me, it doesn't count. So that's, yeah, but I am desperately wanting to read this book. And then I already own this and I've just started reading it, but I also want to read Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. So this is the sequel to Divine Rivals, which I read, I think in December. I think I like just fitted it into the end of last year and I loved it. I had some issues with it, but I kind of just read the whole thing in like a day or a day and a half. I was just invested, and it ends on such a cliffhanger, and so yeah, I think I pre-ordered the sequel as soon as I finished Divine Rivals, and so I am really excited to go ahead and read Ruthless Vows. So I think my plan is to do Ruthless Vows first because I've already started it, and then I think I'll probably read Babel and film it. So if I do decide to do a Dark Academia vlog, like I've got my reactions to Babel. If I'm looking down here, it's because my stack of books is down here. I also have Woman Eating, which I started last year and I'm just over halfway and I do want to finish that. So I might do Ruthless Vows, finish Woman Eating, And then but then I might want to read something happy after Woman Eating. So I might read Under the Earth Over the Sky and then Babel. We'll see. I might make a video about what I'm going to read in February. I'll sort of tell you. I'm definitely going to do a book haul after my birthday, and we'll see, because I think because I'm such a mood reader, the book I find it really hard planning in advance what I'm going to read, because my mood changes, or I'll just like have a burning desire to read one specific book. So we'll see. But I think Ruthless Vows first, try and finish Woman Eating second, and then dive into a physical book, I think is the plan. So yeah, thank you for joining me. Do let me know what your 2024 reading goals are. Again, let me know recommendations for new or small booktubers. If you have just started a booktube channel, let me know so I can come and watch your videos and try and say something to you. And I think it's like online social anxiety, because I do really struggle with like online social spaces. I really struggle. I think I struggle with knowing how I come across online. One of my like non-reading goals for this year is to maybe consider trying to get an autism diagnosis, because a lot of my friends, I think it's when you get to like your mid-20s and then everyone in your friend group decides to start getting either autism or ADHD diagnoses, and then you sort of go around everyone being like, oh yes, I do see it, for like everybody. And I have done like online things, quizzes, I don't think that's what they're called, but yeah, to be like, am I autistic? And they said yes. But yeah, I think it's that I know how to socialize when people in front of me. Like I've learned how to seem normal or how to seem neurotypical, but as soon as it's like online and I don't have the physical like people standing in front of me, I struggle. So if anyone has any advice as to how you actually go about talking to people online, also if you struggle talking to people online, comment, come here, because like I also struggle. Just like like the video, I don't know, say hello, wave a hand. Yeah, just because I'm like, surely I must not be alone in people who struggle talking online and messaging online, because anyway, yes, so that kind of went away a bit, but yes, so let me know your 2020 reading goals, small and new booktubers, for everyone to have a look at, particularly me. And if you are also someone who just doesn't know how to socialise online, say hello, because hello, welcome. And yeah, I'll see you next week. So yeah, I apologise if this video was just a bit of a ramble, but yeah, I'll see you next week. Have a really wonderful January and 2024. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for actually, like, legitimately thank you so much for being here and watching this video and just clicking on me. And yeah, that's it. See you next time.